What's going on? Welcome back to another episode. We're gonna be working on this Stratos 486 SF. This is my personal family boat build for my wife and kids. This is episode 4. So if you haven't seen the first 3 episodes, go check those out. They'll make a lot more sense. I'm gonna try to work on this trailer here in the driveway. In the last episode, I thought I was gonna take it to the water and dump it in. I really don't feel like dealing with that. It's looking like it might rain. There's some dark clouds over here coming in. I've got a little plan. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna cut this bunk on either side down to 9 foot. I'm going to rewrap the carpet on it. Then I'm going to get a jack underneath one side, try to jack the boat up and slide the bunk up where I want it to be, bolt it in, and then do the same thing on the opposite side of the boat. Let's see what happens. It's time to get back to work. All right, so you guys see what I got here. I just cut these slits in the carpet so I could fold it back, cut the wood off at 9 foot. This wood is still in very good condition. My Sawzall decided that it was not gonna cut through it. This is some type of oak or something. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not a wooden guy. I really hate wood. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut these 2 side pieces off, overlap them in here, and then I'm gonna fold this top one over and under. I'm going to be putting in some 316 stainless steel staples with this Arrow staple gun. I bought this thing about 5 years ago when I redid all the upholstery in my wife's old boat, and this thing is killer. It might have been like 75 bucks. It wasn't super cheap, but I guarantee you that it has paid for itself at least 5 times since I purchased it. Let's get this thing finished up and get on to the other side. Kidding. I'm joking. I'm fine. That looks good. That way it'll protect the boat good. It's wrapped all the way around. Put a bunch of staples in here. You gotta use stainless staples though. You're just wasting your time if you don't put stainless staples in it. See what we got. It looks good. It's wrapped up around, all the way up underneath the bottom side. Just make sure if you do this that you wrap these 2 sides before you pull the top over. That way it's completely covered on all sides. Let's do the same thing on the other side. That one wasn't supposed to be cut there. I'm gonna have to put a piece underneath that. This one's gonna be a little bit thicker right here. I gotta make up for this piece that I accidentally cut off. It's all right. It'll work fine. We're just gonna go ahead and cut that the rest of the way now. All right, I'm gonna attempt to break these bolts free right here. These nuts are pretty rusty and they're nylock, so it's probably gonna be pretty difficult. I did spray in with some PP Blaster day before yesterday, so I'm hoping that they'll break free. It's the first attempt, so let's see what happens. I wouldn't say that was easy, but it came off. I hope the rest of them are just like that one. All right, 2 down. That nut's hot. Let's go up front and see if we can do the same thing. Hopefully we'll have the same luck. I'm bleeding. Wouldn't be working if I wasn't bleeding. One more to go. Woo, she hot. All right, so now that I got all the nuts off of these bolts, there's 4 of them, 2 in the front and 2 in the back here. So the only thing holding them in there now is the weight of the boat. The hull is actually sitting on those bunk boards, so it's putting pressure on those bolts. What I'm gonna do is jack this thing up. I got my floor jack in here. I put the boards that I cut off the end of these underneath of it and give it a nice surface to sit on the bottom of this fiberglass. I'm gonna jack it up about a ½ inch above the bunk boards. I'm gonna try to use a center punch and knock those bolts out. And then what I'm gonna do is drop these down where I want them to be, move them forward, re-drill my holes and put my new stainless steel fasteners in. I'll put you guys on the time lapse. Let's get back to work. All right, it's starting to get dark out here, but as you can see, we got these new stainless bolts in here. This bunk board is sitting all the way down on this cross member. Same thing up in the front. It's actually sitting high right here. It's got a gap in here. So I'm gonna have to drop this front winch piece down to get that to sit right. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Then I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna jack the boat up right here in the center. I'm gonna disconnect this piece and try to move it out of the way to see where it's sitting. And we'll try to get an idea on the height so I know how far to cut that off at. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got the bunks dropped down. It looks a lot better. The boat's sitting a lot lower. It looks like it's gonna work out really well. Now I've got to move this whole apparatus forward about a foot. I'm gonna take these U-bolts out and try to move that forward. I'm also going to bring down the roller so that it sits at the right level. I did buy a new roller setup today. It was like 30 bucks. The ones that are on there don't look bad, but I figured if I'm gonna take them off, I might as well just put them on as cheap as they are, and it will make the boat trailer look a lot nicer too. So I heard from my mechanic today. He's ready to work on the motor. I did do a compression test and I started it and it ran pretty good. I really don't think it's gonna need much. I mean, fingers crossed, he only has it for a couple of days or a week tops, but we'll find out. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing wrapped up. I'm gonna put you all back on the time lapse. Let's get back to work. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this roller bracket down. I'm gonna cut it down as short as I can get it and still have room for the roller to spin. What I'm gonna do is come here and cut it off somewhere about here. I'm gonna have to drill a hole in there and step it up. I'm gonna start with like a 3/16 bit and step it up like a 3/8 and then to a 1/2 inch, hopefully. But by making it lower, it's not really gonna hurt anything. It will still be adjustable because I can always make it higher just by sliding it up and down on this piece or moving it forward or backwards. I'm gonna go ahead and get this piece in here and see how close I can get it, and we'll cut it off. Pretty close. I'll mark it off on this other side the same way. Let's see if we can get this roller in there. All right, so as you can see, this roller is only 4 inches. This gap in here is 5 inches. This trailer is weird. It's really old and I cannot find a 5-inch roller. I'm gonna keep looking, but you can see it's got a gap. I mean, it's got a 1-inch gap in there. What was in there was a 4-inch, and you can see how it's bent right here. Obviously it was a lot taller. It just bent up on either side and they just sucked it in to put a 4-inch one up here, and it had a little bit of play in it. So I'm gonna put this one in there. I'm gonna cut this piece right here, which was inside of the old roller. I'm gonna cut this 2 1/2 inch like washer plates, basically. They're gonna be spacers, put on either side, And then if I find a 5-inch roller, I'll come back and put that in later, but I don't see why it would hurt to have these little spacers in there. It should be perfectly fine. Let's get back to work. That's what I want. All right, so the next thing I gotta do is loosen up this U-bolt that's holding this spare tire on here. I need to move this thing forward too, because the boat is gonna hit it when I drop it down. This roller right here, it's gonna have to go. The boat's gonna sit so low, it's not gonna be able to be in there. I'm probably gonna take and build a stainless bracket that's like this galvanized one right here, and it'll let the roller sit lower just so I can use it, because that's as low as it goes. And I need to drop about another inch in order for it to actually sit on these bunks the whole way. I can't get the bolts off of that one. It's really rusty. I'm just going to cut that off with the grinder. I also don't have the key to this lock, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this with the cutting wheel and get rid of this. All right, so now I'm going to take the jack out, let the boat sit on the bunks and see what it looks like. All right, so as you can see, this is what I was afraid of. It's still a little bit too high. I need this to be right above this eye right here. So when I crank it, it'll be nice and tight and the weight is all sitting on those bunk boards. Unfortunately, it's not gonna work. So what I'm gonna have to do is bring those bunks up about an inch, maybe a ½ inch, just to get it to sit right in here. I can't cut it any lower and I don't feel like buying a new one. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take those bolts out, jack it up about an inch, and then pull it tight. We'll see what it looks like though. All right guys, so the boat is on the trailer. I got it cranked all the way up tight, up against the wheel up front, this roller wheel. One thing I did not take into consideration was the distance of this arm right here on the winch. It actually hits the hole in the front right here when you're cranking it. Luckily, this is one of those two-way winches. It's got 2 gears in it, so you can switch it left and right, and you actually have the ability to spin it back and forth this direction without having to make a complete circle. It's fine, I can pull it up like that, but I am going to alter that. I'm going to change this handle on here. I'm going to make a little beefier handle and a little bit shorter one. So this boat is pretty easy to pull up here, even in the high gear. So I'm pretty sure I won't have any issues with that. But I decided what I'm going to do with the trailer. You see this bunk right here in the front, it's still got a little gap in there. I want it to sit flush. So instead of bringing both bunks up, I think I'm just going to take the 3 bolts out, leave the far one in, and bring this front up just about an inch. That way it'll sit on a little slope and it'll actually sit flush. The whole boat will sit on both bunk boards. You see what we got in the back here. I measured it and I think it's going to fit in the garage. Well, look here. This thing came way up. It's actually about 3 inches in front of where I thought it was going to be, which is still fine because the transom is still sitting on this bracket and right over top of this cross member right here. So it's plenty strong enough. And the way this is shaped, if I put any transducers or anything, they're going to be way out here or in the middle. So it's not going to matter if this boat sits a little bit higher up on that board. So the thing is not perfect, but it's gonna have to do because it's getting dark and I really want to get this boat over to my mechanic tomorrow. John Tiger with Tiger Outboards, the dude is probably the most interesting person I've ever met in my entire life. He is a wizard when it comes to these two-stroke engines. I mean, he used to race these old two-stroke engines back in the day, and he's very well known in the community. I mean, he owned Coastal Angler magazine. He writes all kinds of boat reviews for pretty much any boating magazine or forum you've ever read. I guarantee you, if you've read something, it probably was written by John Tiger. So look him up, check him out. I'm gonna leave his link in the description. And I just hope that this thing does not end up giving me any more trouble with anything in the engine. I hope that it's just smooth sailing, nice cleanup, nice tune up, and it's ready to roll. Because I want to get this thing on the water. I want to get all this stuff in here and I want to use it before it gets too late into the year. I really don't do a lot of trips to Lake Gaston during the winter, and if we do, we don't really do a lot of boating just because it gets cold, and most of the stuff we're doing out there is just cruising and towing and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that I can get this thing back from him in a week or less, hopefully, fingers crossed. And if that's the case, then next episode it's gonna be really sick because I'm gonna put all the turf in here and the seats. I got a bunch of LED lights, a radio, and just a bunch of cool stuff. And that is more of the instant gratification type videos. I know that this video was kind of long and it really didn't have anything super exciting going on in it, but I want to share my progress with you guys. As a boat owner, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes into owning a boat and just getting everything perfect. You want your boat and trailer to be perfect with each other because that is what's gonna haul your boat around. It has to be perfect for your boat or it's gonna end up causing you issues with the boat. You're gonna end up with stress cracks or you're gonna end up with your trailer getting broke. So I appreciate you guys watching. You can hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. That way you can keep up with the progress of this build. I mean, the thing is really gonna be sick when it's all said and done. So hit that like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I gotta get back to work, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.